Before we get into it, this video goes out to our Patreon and Ammo Squared supporters. Thank you for making this video possible. Alright, get that out of the way. Arex Delta Gen 2 Tabletop Review and Field Strip coming up next on GBGuns. Gotta say another thanks to our awesome supporters of the channel. There are dozens of videos already out there on this gun, but you guys kept asking for us to do it. You wanted to see our protocols, our tests, our honest, unpaid opinions of the Delta M. Now, I have mixed feelings about this company, Arex. It was 5 years ago, back in 2016, early 2016, I did the first, from what I could find, American video on a company called Arex, and showing their 01, talking a little bit about the lineage. They sent us a gun. We did 5 videos on that thing, loved it, and then they wanted the gun back, and we haven't had anything from them since. When the original Delta was coming out, they said, yes, we will get you one, you've got to check it out. Well, that never happened, and then the Gen 2 came out, and looked even better, and still nothing in hand. But you guys demanded it. I got it. This is the M model, and so far, just from playing around with it in the one day that I've had it since picking it up, I gotta say the M stands for, man, why didn't I get one of these earlier? This is a pretty cool gun. Showing you what's in the case, as always. Of course, the gun, 2 mags, 1 flush fit or semi-flush base plate, 1 with a +2 extension. I'll show you more of that later, but I gotta show you this bit up top here. A quick start guide, sort of like installing software on a computer or whatever your latest electronic is. Pretty cool, really simple, cut to fit in the case piece that goes over the basics. I think that's kind of neat. I hadn't seen one of those before. Then we've got our lock, 3 more back straps. Sort of like what Grand Power does. This thing has a total of 4 back straps, so there's really no excuse for it not fitting your hand. Then you get your mounting plates for different optics, and we do have some optics in, so we're going to be trying that after our initial gun-only test and review. But very cool that that's included. Warranty registration card, and the manual. As always, I go through the manuals because they tell you a little bit about how much the company cares about your knowledge and understanding of the product. We've got gray and white photos, the standard 4 color that we see in most manuals, but they've used red to accentuate some things. And it's got pretty good extra detailed information. This is written by a shooter, not by an engineer, which I really appreciate. This is the layout of this is like someone who actually understands the gun as something other than a mechanical device. So all praises there. So far, really, really good. Down below, in addition to the gun, yes, I went with gray. It's not quite GBGuns gray, but it's close. The 2 mags and this cleaning kit. Normally, cleaning kits are something we don't care about. This is actually a pretty decent one. Looks like something kind of oversized of what you get out of an AK buttstock. But in it, you've got your rods, a nylon brush, brass brush, a mop, a thing of swag, I think is the name of this. I don't know, you guys can correct me. I forget the, it's not a jag, I don't remember the name, for putting the patches on. But all this threads into the handle to give you an actual decent cleaning kit. It's quality stuff, which is pretty cool and above and beyond, especially for something that is priced as competitively as this is. Now, I don't mention prices in reviews because I put this video out, time goes on, things change, such as prices, even model availability, things like that, and the video stays the same, and then you guys end up watching 4 years down the road a wrong video. But at the time of this filming, I've seen these floating around the internet around 400, sometimes even below, which is a pretty awesome price for an optics ready gun, plus all the stuff you just saw there in the kit. Now take a look at the gun. Of course, we will show clear. You can see that nicely polished feed ramp in there. And so that I don't forget it, I want to talk about this trigger. We've got a blade safety on there, so the trigger can't actuate unless the blade is depressed. To our travel, come back to a wall, and it breaks. The reset is aggressive. It is an assertive kick back past the wall if you're really soft on it, but it comes back to the wall again. Good break. Takes a decent amount of weight. I think appropriate for carry kind of weight, not a competition weight, but it's a clean break. But that reset is aggressive. It really pushes you forward, which may take some getting used to, but I think I'm gonna like it. It's kind of cool. Starting off at the front, and hey YouTube, field stripping, which was in the manual that I just flipped through, is an end user thing done for maintenance and safety reasons. I will be doing that to this firearm, not modifying the firearm, not building it. I'm not advocating or facilitating any sales. I am showing something that I purchased to people who want to learn about it. Looking at the front of the gun, we see we have barrel extending a little bit beyond the slide. Some folks like that, some don't. I'm in the family of I really don't care. We've got some angled cuts here at the front, if I can get the light to shine on them. They kind of matches the overall styling in this shaved side. Doing that, by the way, helps save a little bit of weight off of the slide, makes the gun overall lighter. Also means you've got less reciprocating mass, which helps in operating the gun, also helps in cutting recoil down. And something that's optics ready, you're going to be adding weight to it. So when they shave a little bit, that's a good thing. Slide serrations, showing you the direction of travel of a bullet. These kind of arrow things here. Grip pretty well. It grips. They are not sharp or aggressive. I can run my finger over them easily, but with a little bit of pressure, they grip pretty well. Underside of the dust cover, we have 3 slots of rail. On the front of the trigger guard, we've got a spot for traction for those who like to shoot that way. Speaking of traction, something that I've seen on a few other guns and I always love is this texturing up here for your finger straight to rest on. Good memory point. It's great for training, but bring the camera in. There's also a bit of a ledge there. See that ledge? Not only does that help with the texture and finding and feeling it, but it might also be a little bit of a gas pedal for your support hand to hold down. So I think that is pretty cool and a nice touch. Probably wasn't intentional. It kind of follows the jagged line shapes of the gun overall, but is a nice feature. We've got a little bit of undercut here for grip. I have large hands, so this is a 2.5 finger gun for me. With the 15 rounder in, moment of truth, nope, that pinches. So this is very Glock 19 sized. Means I'd have to open my hand to insert that magazine and my finger would be resting on the mag. That mag release, as you saw, kicks it pretty hard, and for those who say, oh, it's because the slide's forward, there we go, I took the slide off, or slide back, it still kicks it, and even against gravity, it's kicking it out. So you've got a true positive ejection there. With the 17 rounder, I'm not going to match my finger again, or I did it once for you. Full rest, and doesn't make the gun too much bigger to have your standard full-size capacity. You notice there is a little bit of cutout relief here for those unfamiliar with a good Type 3 malfunction clearing and feeling the need to panic and try to strip the mag. You do have a little bit of grip there. Even with the 15 rounder, there is some space to grab on. You notice this texturing on the front strap, which matches that on the sides. See if we can get the camera to show you nice and pretty. There we go. It looks like kind of an old orange, if you will, but it's got some aggressiveness to it. It is not the exfoliating type. I would not use this to shave the back end of my heels on a dry day kind of thing, but it does certainly grab onto the hand. Magazine release protrudes a little bit on both sides, and it is an ambi release. Now, one thing I noticed with ours anyways, just in playing with it right out of the box, I'm a fan of ambi mag releases because I can hit them with my middle finger from the other side without having to shift my grip. However, with this gun, as you see, I don't have to shift my grip. They've done a good job of keeping this section narrow enough to reach around here. so that there's no need to shift grip, and that's a good thing because the mag release from the other side is really stiff enough to dent the finger there. Some of you commented that you had the same issue. If I swap over and try my left hand, it's really stiff. So I'm hoping that's something that breaks in, but for now it's kind of an afterthought. Not really gonna fit too, I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed there. You can see we've got a little bit of extra heel overhang, which I'm a fan of. I'd of course prefer more, but I get it for a concealed gun. That's the hardest, this part here is the hardest part to conceal, so making that shorter is a good thing. But that does help with slamming a mag across the back to come in and rock in for rapid reloads. Slide to frame fit up front, and YouTube, I am using a camera at 90 degrees with an additional screen at 90 degrees to do this. The gun is about 2 feet in front of me. This is not pointing at my face or anyone else's. There is no suicide ideation happening with this view here. We have some looseness with slide to frame. That doesn't affect accuracy, it's just something I like to check for. Up back here, we also have quite a bit of side to side, just a little bit of vertical, but the most important thing is our barrel to slide is locked rock solid. There is no movement there. You can see this piece here, which will work as a loaded chamber indicator, popping up when there's a round in the chamber, giving you something tactile to feel. Sight picture, we have blacked out rears and a nice bright white front sight that really draws your eyes to it. And the rear sight does have the ledge for those thinking of emergency reloads racking off of a rock or something. Sorry, that's an MRE reference for any of my veteran friends out there. No, using off of a belt or a table or something, you could rack this one-handed. We've got more of that texturing on the back here. As far as the back straps and how they change things, we'll do that in the shooting impressions. YouTube thinks, even though it's in the manual and it's included with the gun, that is modifying a firearm. So we can't show it on camera, but T and I will come to a conclusion as to which one we like, swapping them and giving some commentary as to what that does for us. Right side of the gun, you notice we have the slide lock and release in addition to the magazine release. All controls on both sides. Does this side work? So you can see I've got, it's kind of awkward to do, it's not my natural grip, but all my fingers down here, nothing on the back side of the gun. I'm going to push up on this and rack it, and the slide lock works. All my fingertips are right here, nothing's on the back side. Can I drop it? Yes. It is a functional, true ambi slide lock and release. That is huge for lefties. Congrats to Arex for landing that. So let's look around the outside of the gun. Next, we're going to field strip this thing, take a look inside the gun. Field stripping the Arex Delta M OR Gray. Sorry, I got those in the wrong order. Arex Delta M OR Gray Gen 2. Full name of this thing is fairly straightforward, slightly different from what you might have seen on other guns, and it's just a little bit shorter. So we're going to check for clear. Nothing in the chamber. Release the striker, which you can see back here is armed. Now it's gone. Pull down on these takedown levers on both sides of the gun simultaneously. Bring it back a little bit, forward, up and off. That's it. There's no sliding all the way forward and off. It just kind of pops up and off. I think there was a Canic or two that did things like that. And looking inside, we can see we've got quite a bit of steel. Not a chassis system, but there is more steel in here than what you'd see in other guns, which may lend itself to safety, to rigidness. We'll see, and the polymer itself is pretty darn firm as well. It feels very solid in hand. I can get a little bit of flexing out of an empty magazine well, really squeezing with large hands, but otherwise, very solid feeling, construction. You know, a little bit of wear already showing there, a little bit on the rails as well. That's just kind of a natural thing. Taking a look inside of our slide, we've got some very nice clean machining. One of the things that is neat about Arex is, as a relatively young company, they set things up in Europe, going after ISO standards and starting with new machining, new tooling on all of those things. And so producing a very cleanly made gun like this is a relatively simple task for them. So that's a cool thing versus buying, say, the 1,500,000th copy of something where the tooling might have been run a little too far out. These have been out for, I think, 2 years now, and this one still looks pretty clean. To get the barrel out, we're going to remove our recoil system, bring it forward and to the front of the gun and off. Pretty simple. It appears to be metal and of course is a flat wire spring. Then to unlock the barrel, tap it down, bring it forward a little bit, and it rides right out. You can see the rest of the underside of the slide. Already a little bit of wear just from the few times I've racked it in there, but that's not a big deal. Nicely polished feed ramp. Sorry, the camera drifted off there for a second. This is the 4-inch barrel version. We'll check our chamber fit as always using our nozzler match, the most consistent and precisely made ammunition I've ever tried, and that is legitimately why we do it. Just noticing with the glint, you see that shine at the top of the barrel up in that area. Let me use my pick up here. That's going to aid with feeding if you have any errant rounds, which is kind of nice. We drop a round in, and what we're looking at now is chamber support. This is an important thing. And you see that round sits nice and deep in there, and even there's maybe a tiny little bit at the feed ramp that's not quite there, but it's still at the shoulder of the brass. This is a properly fully supported chamber. That's important in case you're using reloads, aluminum cased ammunition, cheap ammunition, questionable ammunition type things, because in the event of an overpressure, when the casing wants to burst, rather than burst and send energy this way down into your hand, it is more likely to send energy out the front, which is where I prefer it go when firing pistols. We do have small controlled explosions happening in our hands every time we fire. As the barrel you saw, I came in and forward past the opening and bring it back, and it'll sit down in its locked position. Then we drop our guide rod with the little end forward back into its home, rest it on a shelf, and we're going to set it on top just in front of where these cutouts are for the rails. Bring it down, rack it, and everything's back together. Quick functions check. We rack it. It's that nice trigger again. Trigger resets. Everything is good to go. The gun is back together and ready to go. I'm really impressed with this thing. It feels really nice in the hand. The trigger is, in my opinion, what's appropriate for carry weight, and still very crisp and predictable with an awesome reset. Texturing is nice. Haven't even bothered with the other backstraps yet. When we go out to the range for our shooting impressions, the second part of this review, you'll see myself and Miss Tia, another shooter, a woman, different size hands, different tastes and preferences. We will run this through a gamut of tests, including, of course, our trademarked What's for Dinner test, where we test 10 different loads to see what it'll eat. We'll also try our spinner, we'll do some accuracy, and give you our closing thoughts on shooting the thing. But so far, I gotta say, I'm more excited than I have been about a new pistol in quite some time. This Delta Gen 2 seems pretty cool. I really wish I could have gotten a 4.5-inch slide on a 15-round body, but that didn't seem to be an option. Availability is kind of all over the place. They're gone, then there's a bunch of them, then they're gone, kind of thing. Such is the nature of imported guns. But I know Arex to have spectacular engineering and machining with their first gun. We'll see how they're doing now. I think this is their, what, 5th or 6th offering in the last 5-6 years. So pretty excited about this one. Huge thanks once more to those of you who saw the other reviews out there and said, no, we still want to see GBGuns. This is just the first part. No, we haven't shot it yet, but that's the tabletop look, a preview of what's to come. And patrons, as always, you're watching this before everybody else, and you'll see the shooting impressions before everyone else. Thanks for watching.